to say or anything. I haven't thought of anything besides the questions yet, so bear with me if you will, alright?
All right.
I don't know. I don't know if I should sell it like a real streamer or not. Too. Put on like a fake enthusiastic voice. But oh fuck, are you serious? No way, man. No way. This never happens. And I started it like this. How do I not have my lighter? This is some bullshit. Alright, hold on. Alright, I had left it on the shelf because I was letting that fucking blunt to go into the bong. But I was also thinking, as far as intros go, that like I have a weird nasally voice, but the time people complimented my voice the most is when I roleplayed a country person. People really liked my country voice for some reason. I said it was inviting and nice. Something like, did I think I talked like this? Something like, I reckon, holy hell, well hell. Maybe that's how I should start it. I should pretend like I'm country. The Stoners.
You've had lots of practice, I suppose.
Stoners Circle Podcast. Welcome. Today we're gonna draw a happy little tree. All right, Crow.
All right.
If we're gonna do this like like I'll pretend to be a professional. You are a dear, probably my best friend, BFF FF. I don't know. Is in the starting? Maybe if I was a good host, I would talk about you first, right? I would know about your life accomplishments and stuff like that.
Suppose yes.
So I would call Crow nothing short of a philosopher. I'm just kidding. But I would consider you a philosopher. I would.
Not that.
But I don't know if you would still identify with what I'm about to say, and I would call you an intellectual and a scholar. And I mean that in the way of people call people a gentleman and a scholar. At the same time as literally, because to me, especially in our friendship, I would say you've always been the kind of person, regardless of times when we were young and ignorant and had troubles, you're extremely well-rounded in all aspects, I would say. And anything that you actually attempt or put your mind to, you at least create an interesting end result. It's the least I can say. And that's for every aspect, like arts, like music and writing, anything. Dancing, fucking, hacky sack.
Always have a certain flair, for sure.
Yes, and you've definitely always, with that flair, have had your own style when it comes to clothing, and I would not knock that, whatever. I always loved trying to look at your styles and see what I could do opposite, and at the time afford, because when we were kids, Gothic pants were $55, and I would never buy pants like that on this day, but...
Oh my god, yeah, nowadays those same pants are like $100.
For real?
Even available.
I was trying to look up Sobe bottles, and they're $20 for old Sobe bottles right now. Anyways... I would honestly, like, for where you are and at your age, I'd call you very accomplished in the sense, like, of what my perception of living is. Like, getting to know yourself. And, trying to... Sorry, I'm just gonna get high as fuck. Trying to pursue things that will actually make you happy and add, meaning to how you feel about it in life. Would you say my assumptions of you so far are correct?
Yeah, that sounds right. I definitely strive towards meaning and value, and like everybody values things differently. So some people that's gonna be money and possessions and things like that, and like I'm not necessarily extremely accomplished in that regard, and I tend to be better at saving money. But as far as discovering myself and just becoming the person I want to be and pushing towards that, like I think I'm fairly successful.
With that, I also want to add, and this you could look at it in a good or bad way, but your work ethic as well. I've always admired. Like I feel like we have a very similar work ethic, and that's why we succeeded so much in our youth at trying to sell drugs.
Yeah, I mean, as little as I want to be part of a capitalist structure, that's where it tends to come out. But my work ethic for sure is phenomenal. I've been compared to the highest people in whatever particular field I've been working in, or whatever field I'm actually striving towards at the time. Like I've always been a top worker because I believe in doing things, to the best of your ability, and by doing that, you grow. So
I gotta say that like it's I don't feel like a lot of people view it this way, but like I feel like when you do something that you really enjoy, it becomes art. And like again, that can be like quantum physics or computing or whatever. Like if you're so good at something, people will be like, bro, this is borderline art, right? And I gotta say, like it's the same with when I say like work ethic and stuff, I say that too because you wrap all these things you've learned from art and shit into work ethic. And when I say that, I mean when we've talked about like example dancing through the kitchen. You know what I mean? Like you're just kind of like swinging and stepping weird. You might even have some music on and be busting some moves to it or whatever. But like I've always seen you as like if I was going to be in a like any kind of serious situation or something like that. There's not obviously we have a synergy, but we've always been able to match up and like I can't say that we've actually been in a real government style working situation. Thank God, because that's how you learn how to hate people a lot. But I have no doubt that we would be extremely successful if someone forced us to say like run a ship or something like that. You know what I mean?
yeah, definitely. And again, like it's not a position I'd ever want to be in. Like I don't fancy myself as a leader, and like you are more so than I am. You always have been. But being a part of that structure is satisfying in some way. It's like bringing out the success of others
And that is
is
like
a good feeling.
it's that is good, but that's we could I gotta stop going off course because this is a stoner circle, right? But I would say that leadership shouldn't be like defined by one person. Maybe it's all right to put your trust in the end of one person, but I think leadership is always a shared effort, and it's that's again that's playing off the synergies of one another in a sense, because there's always going to be points where you're better at something, and it makes more sense for you to lead in this way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's all sorts of ways to lead too. Like there's like the philosophy of like leading from the back. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
you're the person who drives it. Like you're
I
the
just
person who.
I just feel like a team, like you could say there's like leading aspects or whatever, but like a good team again is almost art. I would say.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Uh, it takes a high level of synergy, and like taking people who are completely different and like using all of their. It's just like when you're making art. Like you're taking all these things and like you're making like the greatest part of them like come together into something that's better than the sum of its parts.
And see, you say that, Dex. You say we can't get a ship running on borrowed trauma, but the thing is, I'm talking about me and Crow right now. So if you put me and Crow in a situation and say it's just borrowed trauma, and it's just me and Crow, we will figure that shit out. I swear. Like if we really wanted to, and we were really doing it, me and Crow would have been for the job. So, anyways, I digress. This is Stoner Circle, the hippinest, happinest, the newest fucking podcast around. But so we're gonna actually get into fucking stoner shit now instead of just awesome philosophy and fun conversation.
I'm ready.
With this, we're gonna make more conversation, but about a subject. So, one of my first questions is, like, what's your preferred way of ingesting cannabis?
It's definitely changed over time, and I would say it's pretty nebulous concept. Like, I think I value like honestly like smoking like a sort of lower THC strain of weed, like as far as like just wanting to relax and get into like a meditative state. I feel like nowadays like THC levels are so high that it kind of like surpasses that. It's like nearer to being drunk, like depending on your tolerance, obviously.
It's so much easier since when we were kids to get too high, in my opinion. And we've been
Yeah.
smoking forever, but I'm not. The weed is crazy. I won't deny that. I'm sorry.
But as far as like method of consumption, I think like it's probably if I'm out and about, like it's a joint because it's easy and it's accessible. If I'm home and I'm, burning cannabis specifically, like not like some other, derivative or whatever, like it's definitely a bong. Bongs are cleaner. Like we definitely determined that when we were younger and tried to stick towards those. You just bongs and joints for like a long time. That was a good period. But
Yeah.
it's gotta be dabs for sure.
Still dabs.
Still dabs.
So-
It's just like the less there's less confusion like in the high. So like you're more mentally stimulated, it feels cleaner, like you're less influenced and more just like high. I don't know.
I've started using that example that you gave of dabs because we've talked about dabs obviously a lot before. And not dabs specifically, but rosin, I would say. But I've been hitting rosin really fucking hard for those reasons before bed recently. Because when I smoke like 4 dabs, it's like the equivalent to smoking a joint. But what I find as I get older, if I smoke like a joint like an hour or like maybe an hour and a half before bed, I always wake up with a headache. Like I've had too many carcinogens before I went to sleep or some shit.
What I notice is when I'm smoking the pen before bed is I'll wake up in the middle of the night and my chest will feel like my lungs will feel sticky and it'll be hard to breathe. So I've
Oof.
stopped doing that.
I do a
Yeah.
lot of breathing exercises before I go to sleep, honestly. But I'm hitting just rosin. It's not in a pen or nothing.
Yeah. No, I think it's definitely part of maybe the propylene glycol mixture makes it a little bit more sticky or whatever.
So off of ingestion method, we're gonna say it's combustion. It we used to be combustion, joint and bong, and then moved on to dabs. Combustion still. If is it preferred combustion or do you prefer a pen?
I think again, pen is just accessible. Like I fell
Yeah.
in love with pens like as soon as they were available back when it was like it wasn't it wasn't a vapor, it was still combustion. It was just like a vaporizer with dab that would drip right onto it. I fell in love with that immediately, mostly for the taste, but for the accessibility. And obviously being in a state that was still under prohibition, it was easier to do that and just step out for 5 seconds and hit it and come back in without having to sit there, pack a bong, get the smell all over your fingers and everything, and just the less smell too. It's like less offensive.
Yeah. Now, does that take to or add to rituals when you do it any other way? If you choose to, like,
Definitely takes away from the ritual, I think.
do you enjoy that though? Like, do you enjoy the ritual aspect when you come back to it?
Yeah, I think again that's why like dabs is really the preferred one because that is a ritual too. Like it's I mean you're not rolling anything them up, you're not breaking anything down, but it's the heating of the element. It's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
picking off the perfect piece without shattering a
Yeah,
piece in your eye.
when I'm standing there with you and we're about to take a dab, I'm like giddy. I'm like just ready to get really high in a second, have it pass, and then
Yeah,
go
it's
fucking play video games or something.
it's so fun and like the taste is incomparable to anything else. Like as far as that's concerned, like
Yeah,
dabs are king, absolutely. Or any sort of concentrate, really, when you look at it,
yeah. I don't
just varying
care.
levels.
I don't care who you are. Fucking come next to me and smoke fucking 5 to 6 dabs in a row and tell me you're not fucking baked out of your mind.
Yeah, if you can breathe afterwards
No audience
to
Q&As.
answer any sort of questions.
If you can bring
Are you
it.
baked out of your mind?
That's the other fun part is figuring out if you're still gonna live. All right,
My first step, I was quite concerned.
bro. Me too. I swear to God, like I did that dab and I was scared. I felt like when I was really little, I had asthma really bad. So the first time I took a dab, I felt like I was having an asthma attack, and I was like, bro, what the fuck is going on? I can't breathe.
Am I going to be able to breathe soon?
Please. I don't want to pass out in front of everybody.
Obviously, that adds to the high too, and like people
Yeah,
who do Dex a
definitely.
lot, you don't cough nearly as much, obviously, and it becomes kind of a thing of the past. But that first one is fucking ridiculous, and honestly, anytime during the tolerance period, you're
It's
coughing all the time.
it's like crack mentality that first hit. But Dex will maybe we'll do questions at the end. It's a decent question, but we'll do questions at the end because we'll run through this. So going off of that one, what is your favorite varieties and flavors?
I mean, it's definitely sativa all the time. Like, I don't even think I really like hybrids anymore. I think it's just sativa, and again, it's still lending to like that clarity of mind and like the creativity and just the upbeatness of it all. You know what I mean?
I
Like,
really feel
I
like I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's fine. And like my to answer Biniac's question, like it's similar. Like that's kind of the whole point for me. Like my favorite morning ritual was always like a cup of coffee and a dab, and I would just feel like dialed in, you know what I mean? Like I would play League for a few hours, like I would be phenomenal, like I would be thinking quickly and clearly and just enjoying the absolute hell out of myself.
Then just so we can well I'll answer it so we can finish that segment of Dex's question. Is my perfect high as I describe it would just be being okay with being in the current time, like not sitting here being like, oh, I have this, that, or this to do, or like, oh man, back in the past, I can't believe I fucking whipped my dick out or whatever. Like I just like the perfect
And
state of
like
high for me is just being in the moment.
and I think that like two points to that. Like one, I think that like whatever type of high you could have while you're hanging out with people and still feel like you can like act
Function.
without
Yeah.
over analyzing your own actions and things like that, like whatever high you can get that's like I feel good and I feel social and I feel normal to a degree.
Yeah, you're not receding
And
into your mind.
the second point being that I think that actually the lower THC um, weed lends to that too. Like hitting something that's not insanely powerful is like going to give you more of a high that's just making you feel normal and
Well,
relaxed.
there's a lot of theories and stuff out there, but one of the ones that I really like is CBD. A lot of CBD at the end of your high numbered THC joint can help level off your high as well. So
Yeah, I
I
haven't tried that much.
yeah, exactly. It's something I've being a huge joint fan. It's something I really believe in because like if I smoke like half a joint, I'm like too high. But if I smoke my whole joint, as much sense as this might not make, I'm perfectly high. If I smoke
Well,
that whole joint in one sitting.
that's like a thing too, is like they're sort of breeding the CBD out because like you're breeding one or the other. You're breeding something for CBD or THC. So like the high THC weed has like a lot less CBD as well. So it makes sense that that would be more uncomfortable.
Right? I mean, and that's the thing is CBD. I'm pretty sure THC turns into a gaseous form, like an actual, like a form that turns into matter that can be broken down in your lungs at 160 degrees. And CBD does the same thing at 180 degrees. So what happens is the CBD actually gets pushed towards the roach. And while you're smoking that roach, because it's a smaller distance from the air to the ember, it actually gets hotter than what it was when it was a longer joint. So you get to burn that CBD off at the end. But anyways, I digress. I digress. So when the thing I was gonna say about sativas was I feel like sativa was one of the first embraced weed by mankind, and I just say that out of nowhere. I have no basis besides like if you smoke a sativa, it's psychedelic in a comfortable way that you can still get shit done. I'm not saying you can't get shit done in an indica, but like there's so many different personalities. Like if I was sitting here smoking opium right now, like I'd love to smoke some opium. I'm not gonna fucking lie. I love opium. It tastes great. But I'm not gonna sit here and try to like lay on my side and smoke it until I'm fucking assed out on the side of the ground. Like I like smoking some shit and then doing some shit and being able to still kind of function without like like early lethargy of like when you're really lethargic on something and you'll like accidentally, let's say, hit your arm on a wall or like something you don't mean, like you're getting a little too tipsy or something, you know.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely compare it to like being tipsy.
So I
And
don't.
I think, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Again, I think that like I don't know, like you say, like the more embraced by man, like being sativa, like it makes sense because you look at like early cultures and like people were working, like
People,
people were
you
working
had to
like
do shit all
16-hour
day. You
days.
had to do
Yeah.
shit. Like it's
So it
like
seems like indica might have been more embraced by like the more elite
medical
people who
side,
could
yeah,
like
or elite, I
afford to
guess.
just lounge around, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like no difference to them. They were born into status
Even
and it
before
doesn't matter if
elitism,
they
though.
produced or anything.
Even before elitism, I would say certain areas would like up here. If you decided to try to live within an area without, I would have migrated if I was an ancient person. But if I discovered farming and I tried to live through a winter, you bet your ass I'd be stocked up on all sorts of drugs just to chill for the winter. So, anyways, what I was gonna say off of the sativas is I know you're a Super Lemon fan, obviously, but whatever your actual favorite terpene profiles through sativas, or like, do you feel like you haven't explored enough of them yet?
No, I think it's pretty obvious, and it's similar to like I mean like my favorite plant in general that's not cannabis is mint. So like I'm looking for something that has that like the evergreen quality to it, but super lemon, lemon in general kind of it stands out in a way, and maybe it's just the high. Like the flavor is great and everything, and maybe I prefer different flavors more, but the high from Super Lemon is amazing. But
Yeah,
it's that and it's like the evergreen for sure, and maybe skunk next.
I really, again, like I'm just gonna say it in like an alert sense, but you're doing shit sense. But a lemon, the citrus terpene profiles are very enjoyable in my opinion.
I don't love like the orange things as much though, and like
Oh,
I think
all
that's
right.
true in real life too. Like I'm a big fan of lemon in general, but like oranges, it's just like too sweet of a flavor. Maybe that comes from some things like doing too much orange cough syrup when I was younger. I don't know, but the orange flavor does not appeal to me. But lemon is so much brighter, and I don't love sweetness and things in general. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you've never been the sweetest, but
it's more
not
bitter.
only that.
Like I love bitter things, which is also like what like the the piney the piney citrus like that whole realm is like fairly bitter, and I think
Yeah,
I like bitters more.
I do love the pine, man. I'm constantly searching for some Dutch treat to this day. I just want. Everyone's always like, "I get you some seeds. What do you want?" And I'm like, "Dutch treat." No one ever gets them
Hindu
for me.
Hindu Kush was really good too. I think that's kind of piney as well a little bit,
Just a
but
little bit, but yeah, same with that Tahoe OG. If you remember the Tahoe, it was just a little piney, but the Tahoe was weird.
yeah, it was a little weird.
It was weird.
Not my favorite, but not bad at all.
Yeah, that's again. That's why I'm. If you ever can just get some flour or something, the reason I'm looking for Dutch Treat is because it's one of the only cannabis varieties that is actually only a pinene specific. Because there's a lot of, like you're saying, there's a lot of pine lemon varieties out there that are mixed, and
Yeah, I want it to taste like my house is clean, you know.
yeah. But
It's
I
instant dopamine.
right? Oh my god, I just love it. I do love pine so much, man. I should have looked up. I got some weird soaps the other day. I should have looked up pine soaps instead. That would have
Even
been the
like
shit.
like I get like some of the more expensive like body washes or like hair products, like shampoo and things like that that I
Yeah.
use. Like all my favorite ones are like pine and like aloe based. And it's
Oh
just like
fuck yeah.
just the green smell is so
You're gonna
amazing.
have to send me some links. I'm trying to pamper myself the past few days. The past week or
Oh yeah,
whatever.
this shit. Like, so I was telling you, like my girlfriend goes fucking ridiculously crazy over this shit. I can pull it out right now. It'll only take 2 seconds.
Send me a link because we'll go into this now with the varieties and flavors. What would you say for you? And I'm sure this is situational, honestly, but is your favorite set and setting?
Hmm.
Is it that igloo you talked about in the middle of the snow, or like that's why I said is this situational because it's like all right, sometimes I want to go for a walk, sometimes I'm fucking just chilling, vibing to this song in my room.
Yeah, it's situational. I'd say like maybe there's like three main things. Like one is obviously like the with friends, like with good friends, like with you. That's like one of my top ones. Um, but the time I smoke the most flower, besides hanging out with you, is like when I'm in the woods. Like there's no time where I'm like in the woods and I'm just not gonna smoke. Like it's part of like the spiritual experience of it all, and it really like makes me feel more connected to nature. I think that's definitely a top one.
I want to
Third
say
would
I've always
be
felt like you
just
were very fey. Like in a lot of fairy tales, they say like the woods still belong to the fey folk.
oh Oh, absolutely, man. I like I'm chaotic by nature for sure, and I believe in just I don't know, like sort of like the natural wonder of the world, like the just being attuned to things and like not trying to influence anything, just trying to like be a part of it and accept that things are going to be the way they are, and like you shouldn't try to exact your will on the world around you.
That's my favorite part of nature, is just existing in it and being able to kind of look nature in the face and just be able to just exist in that moment. Again, I love that zen of the current. I'm not saying it's good or bad to dissect your present and future, but like I always feel like when you can really appreciate the moment you're in is how you're going to get the most satisfaction out of like your life, those memories and stuff. Even if it's like you're saying, like, oh man, I was like, it's like taking a dump and you're like, oh, that one time when I was in the woods and I fucking climbed that tree and I found this weird bug. Like, it might sound like some dumb shit, but like, some of that shit is so zen in my mind sometimes.
Yeah, I went out to the woods when I was living in Rochester for a long time, and I would just go out there and walk around, climb trees, meditate, smoke. There was like a fairy shrine there, and I would always try to bring something interesting from my travels elsewhere, like from as far away as I could, usually just because it's to make it
A
like more
pilgrimage?
valuable.
Oh.
But it's just like yeah, like that. It's just like bringing something from the beach or bringing something from like the other side of the city or something like that. Bringing something that like doesn't belong there, like a rock or some stupid shit like that, or and like when I was feeling more like I wanted to contribute something that was of myself and like valuable, like I would take something that was um that was around me a lot, that I was really attached to, but like was a broken off piece of something. Like one of the best examples for that is I had those black and white paisley pants that I always wore, the 3/4 style, and the pocket broke off them, and I brought the pocket and put it there on the shrine, and that was fairly meaningful for me.
Right? It's really cool though. I love that.
Crazy thing about fairies is like the lore is that you're not really trying to like please them and get their favor, because fairies are like these chaotic trickster beings. Like you're
Yeah,
just trying to get
you're
them to leave you
existing.
alone.
Oh, okay.
And
I was
that's
gonna
it.
say, yeah, well, fun. Well, sometimes chaos can be fun.
Yeah,
Oh,
but at the same time, like it's usually at your expense when it
yeah,
comes to fairies.
I guess
But
so. Yeah.
just their existence is something that like I don't know, I still appreciate, and like borderline worship. Like I still just appreciate the chaos of it all.
So speaking of fairies, and this doesn't have to discern anything or whatever, but what is actually your favorite like media while getting high? Like, do you enjoy, like, obviously you're a book person, but like, you know what I mean? Like, what would you rather? Music, movie, a book? Fucking again, just like you were saying, your natural surroundings.
Hmm, it's kind of tough. I think I don't really smoke when I read. Maybe I did a little bit when I was younger, but I think ADHD really makes that a problem. And like it's hard to read for any amount of time and keep my attention on it. Usually just like my mind ends up wandering. Um, I like the like when you're out, like you probably don't relate so much, but like you're out at the bar or like you're just out with friends or you're at like a show or something like that and you smoke, and it is like the music and the atmosphere and the vibe and such. I still think it's just I don't know, like I like more like, and obviously video games is probably one of the top ones too, but I'm more like a lack of media. Like I would rather sit and like have a conversation with somebody
And
or have a conversation while playing video games, as you well know.
yeah, and I completely agree. Like the thing is we know each other really well, so you know that I slowly became introverted, but I will say, like, and it's what a lot of people would say in my position or whatever. But I do miss, like you're saying, like kind of having the right friend group and going to do shit, because obviously that shit was ruined and tainted for me in a sense. But like there's nothing I cherish more than, like you're saying, kind of like an adventure with friends, because like even though it's minor or whatever, like when we went to go see Spirited Away when it came back out in theaters, like that wasn't shit, like we were just going to the movies or whatever, but I don't go out and do nothing, so to me I was like, bro, this is fucking awesome. And we just sat there and had dumb little snacks, and then fucking kept smoking that fucking vape pen that I made. That was I think that was a personal vape pen that time when I was mixing them. But like when I say that, like I also harken back to a day like of days that I wish that I was comfier with some things or at least had more income, because like I could say like back when we seen each other at Ozfest when we were just boys right before we started hanging out all the time. But like if we could do anything kind of like on that scale of like being at like some kind of festival or going to something that like matters to us, that's always going to be my top, especially when stoned. But like, and I don't say like I have to be stoned to enjoy that kind of shit, but I'll say like for the whole reason for why I've been getting stoned forever. But like, and a lot of people be like, well, it sounds like an addict or whatever, but like weed helps me be okay with being alive. And I don't mean that in a depressing way either. Like weed just helps my fucking quality of life and coping with life. And I could to this day if I really had to, and someone was like, you have to quit, it's over, like there's no more weed in the world, like I would be pissed and it would suck, but it's not something that would make me like, if I didn't get to this point already, like if I didn't grow up with cannabis in a sense, I would have already, I don't know if I could live a regular fucking life. But at this point, like I've learned the things I need from it or whatever. But anyways, I digress.
There's a great quote. It's actually a clip that I just saw from Bob Marley talking about cannabis use, and like they were asking him like, do you need to smoke to like be a Rasta? And he's like, no, but like, when you're stuck in traffic, you know what I mean, or like when you're in a chaotic environment and like everything around you is like moving fast and you don't feel comfortable, like weed helps you be okay. Like it helps you relax and not hear the disturbing whatever it happens to be. Just lets you focus more on yourself. It's more meditative.
No, definitely. So that's why like I try to tell people when I'm talking about drugs a lot, I'm like, bro, you don't understand psychedelics in an extent, because it's like, well, you might think drugs are drugs, but that's like, when you got high on Robitussin and when you got high on fucking liquor, did that feel like the same? Like, obviously not. That's when I try to explain like how easy it is for some people to just do cocaine, because it's like cocaine's at the end of the day, isn't it? It's psychedelic in an extent, but it's mostly a stimulant, and people can fucking snort blow, and they won't start retreating into themselves and trying to dissect themselves in a psychedelic way. They'll be stimulated and they'll fuck or do more drugs or play sports or whatever, watch a show, play League of Legends.
Yeah, the main thing with coke versus other stimulants is like the level of euphoria. Like it's not like it's like a balance between like Adderall and like MDMA. Like you get like the up effect, but you also get the euphoria of like you're forced to feel good, like, no matter what.
And I'm just gonna try to focus in on, that's what I talk about like cannabis to a lot of people, is like we're all so different, so you don't know how the chemicals in your brain are gonna work. But some people, like I feel like the people who smoke cannabis and are like, I like this, and then continue to smoke cannabis, are usually the people that are sometimes fun to talk to. There's always burnouts, quotations. There's always people who just addict to whatever and become their personalities. But a lot of people who really enjoy weed, I feel like, are really decent people that aren't afraid to get uncomfy.
That's the thing too, is like things like anxiety and depression are actually really harmful to your brain and like cause you to lose brain cells and cause you to focus throughout the whole day on like what's going wrong, what you're not achieving, like et cetera, and you know, as bad as it can sound, like being high all day like makes you focus on things you care about and not just how you're appearing to the world.
I gotta say, like, it's it's primal in a sense when your body knows what it knows or whatever the fuck. I'm just gonna say, like, the way I do that, like how you're saying, and I'm stoned and I'm trying to do something, and even if it's something I enjoy, I do it in so much more of a healthy way. Like, if I was going to sit here and I'm like, I'm going to get high before, like I was telling you earlier, I'm going to get high before I create these characters or their layouts or whatever. When I tell you I'm going to get high before that, and this might just be a me and you thing, but like, if I'm not streaming or whatever, I'll like hit the bowl and stuff, and I'll be like, all right, I'm going to fucking do this, hit this bowl, I'm going to do like a breathing exercise, and I'm going to stretch out, I'm going to do like a quick workout, fucking slam a fucking glass of water, Like, you know what I'm saying? And then I'm like, and then I'm gonna do it at this time. Like, I'll wait till I'm like comfiest and shit.
Yeah, you're looking at the greater scope of like, so like I've made myself feel good with this, but like how can I spiral that into like feeling really good?
Yeah,
Like
like
how
how
can
can I
I
make
actually
further
do
healthy
better for
choices?
myself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I don't know where the fuck we're going with this. What? Tell us the story of the first time you ever smoked, that you
Uh,
remember.
the first time I smoked, I don't remember getting high, but I feel like that's like kind of typical.
Right?
But I think I was 12 years old in Kendall. I had just stolen some weed from my brother. I went out into the backyard. I took a piece of bamboo that was growing out there and hollowed out a piece. I ingenuitive already at 12. It's
Fucking
like immediate
A.
stoner status. I took a socket. I took the screen from the sink faucet,
Yeah.
put it in there, and smoked out of that. I had a lighter because every 12-year-old has lighters anyways.
Right? Why would you not?
Pyro tendencies and such at the time, but yeah, I don't know. It was good, and like I honestly like I think I like the bamboo smoking too because it definitely adds like a certain element. Like you're obviously burning bamboo, and you probably don't want to inhale that, but it tasted pretty good.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. We were talking about it before. Some wizard mixes or whatever they call it. I would not mind sitting down with some weird herbs that are quotation smokable and at least trying a little bit. You know. But
Oh yeah,
anyways.
people do those cigarettes all the time. It's just herbal blends like rose and mint
Oh
and
yeah,
such
yeah.
things.
I
Yeah,
gotta say, out of everything I can remember, I don't think I've ever stolen weed from your brother. Now that I think about it, there
can't
was
relate.
yeah, exactly. There was a time where he was like, remember when he was sending people in to weigh out their own bags?
Yeah,
I was so sketched out when I was weighing my own bag. I'm like, bro, he's gonna think I fucking took something.
you would trust me, you, and Nick to do that, and I don't think anybody else.
All right, I
So
was
it
yeah.
wasn't super
All
common.
right, I was scared as fuck doing that. I was like, Jesus, he just wants me to weigh it out.
It's like it's the factor of like yes, like he trusts us, but it's also like I know where you are if I had
If I,
concern with this.
yeah, you motherfuckers are tricky sometimes. Because I do,
You're
I remember a
around.
few times you stealing some weed from your brother, and I may have helped you smoke it.
Stealing by proxy.
Yeah, I remember you just coming over sometimes and be like, yo, bro, fuck this. Like, saying some shit, just throw it out of bag. We're like, oh shit, you got some weed? You're like, yeah, let's fucking smoke, blah, blah, blah. You're like,
Yeah,
all right, if my brother calls, don't answer.
I didn't do that a lot when I was younger. I definitely did it though. And then when I got older, like, past like 14, 15, I just started asking him, like I've had a terrible time. Like, I got no money right now. And
Yeah, just
like, it
give me
was
some
hardly ever an
bud,
issue
bro.
'cause, it's mostly selling. But
Yeah,
like, whenever it wasn't a case or like whenever I was waiting for a re-up or something like that, I'd be like, I feel like shit. Can you smoke with me? And he would always be like, yeah. So
right.
it's the better way to do it.
We were lucky to always have homies, or at least the situation that usually gets smoked up. Usually, there was some rough days, but
Yeah, but it was definitely rare,
yeah.
rare to have a day where somebody didn't come over and need a place to smoke.
Do you have a favorite smoking story?
Hmm. The first one that comes to mind is the time, um, it was Drew and Juan going out to the city. I don't know if you went too. I remember I waited at home. No, I think it was just Drew and Juan, and they came back, and they were like, "We got robbed," and we're like, neither of us believed it at all. Like immediately, we're just like, "Oh yeah," and then like they pour out a brown paper bag with like 15 to 30 city dimes in it, so like 3 gram dimes, like, and just like the rest of the bag is filled with blunts, and we smoked like 15 blunts that night, and the one blunt that was like
Oh, the super blunt.
the three
It was
three
four
wide.
papers. Was it
Yeah,
three wide?
I think it was 3 wide. We didn't. There was no length
15?
to it at
No.
all. It was 5 wide, and and that shit burned for like over an hour. Like no cap, no nothing. Like it literally like once it got
Dude,
down to like a third, like it was just and like everybody's just passing it. We all want it to be done. We're just like you get it and you're like you take like a small hit,
yeah.
and like it's so wide that you still get a huge hit anyways. But just like,
That
and
was
then you're like, that's net, and it's like getting passed around like fast as fuck. 'Cause
Oh my
nobody wants that
God,
shit.
yeah.
They're like,
that was the most Godfather of all blunts. That shit was so thick. That was the biggest. It was like bigger than like 2 Cuban cigars, dude. Like it was a massive blunt.
That was just a regular day too. I think we've had a lot of
Yeah.
good 420s. Like I have a ton of great 420 stories where insane amounts of weed were smoking, and one good time was actually at Mike's, surprisingly, and it was me, Mike, my brother, Peanut, Cruz, and like his girlfriend, and like maybe one other person, but literally everybody there. I think Brendy might have been there too, possibly. Everybody there sold weed, basically.
Yeah.
So it was just like, and everybody like brought pieces. Like Mike had a lot of pieces at the time and stuff, and there was like probably like 20, 25 pieces on the table, and like they were all packed like at all times.
I remember you telling me this story. I
And we
wasn't there.
smoked like a big cross blunt, and you know, Mike's like legitimately really good at rolling. Like I can say one good thing about him, he's, you know, really good fucking
Drew
roller.
used to be. That's how we got away with that Godfather blunt, was because of Drew, man. Drew used to be a great roller.
He rolled that cross blunt the whole time in the air. Like he never once set it down or anything like that. He was just standing up rolling it.
Oh,
Like, and I was like,
fuck.
okay, like I see you. I see you. That was intense though. Yeah, that was a wild time. We had all the pieces, like all of mine and Damien's pieces, all of everybody's pieces just that were there. It was stupid.
I
don't
remember
think it was my
Damien's collection.
favorite like time to smoke or whatever. Like I don't think I had the best time, but as far as like extravagance and smoking, like that was ridiculous. Like we could have smoked 10 times more because everybody there sold and everybody was trying to contribute, but we just couldn't smoke that much.
I still miss Day Day's old tiny fucking, not tiny, but the hammer. You know the one I'm talking about, the blue one. That blue.
I never loved
bubbler.
that piece. I think it's because Nick resin hit it too much, but it always had a bad taste, and you could never clean it out. I liked the piece that I got when we were pulling copper out of the pipes in Clean Bright. We got that piece off of Sarah's dad.
Oh
And it
yeah.
was that long
Yeah.
Indian pipe out of Pyrex glass. Like that shit was
Dude.
so nuts.
We should have never smoked out of that, but yeah, when you had the whole collection and you made that, and we were smoking out of it like crackheads because we couldn't find a fucking screen that
Yeah,
would
the
fit it, so we put
steel
all
wool.
we put the steel wool in the bottom.
It's a massive head on it.
But yeah, remember how many times we packed that thing too? We'd have people come over. That was like when we were doing the joint competition. But that bullhead, we were like, no, we're gonna pack the whole thing.
Similar to the hookah too. What I got when I was like,
Oh my god,
14 or 15
Yeah.
or whatever, I had delivered to your house.
Amazon
'cause
had like
my
just
mom
come
put it
out. Yeah,
Yeah. Actually, no, I think that was eBay.
it probably
but yeah,
was. It probably was.
I got
eBay.
one of those preloaded credit cards. And I was
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm ready.
Amazon,
Blah, blah, blah.
Amazon did not exist yet. But yeah, Crow ordered a hookah to my house. It was
was
the coolest
beautiful.
thing. But yeah,
Green crystal hookah with
Oh
like
my God.
4 hoses.
it was 3
a
hoses.
lot of-
it was 3.
a lot of my-
remember?
A lot of my favorite times smoking were that for sure. Or like just
Yeah,
times
man.
when we, like when your small ass room was like packed with people. Like those are my favorite times.
Yeah,
probably.
honestly, it was such a good time with that hookah getting baked out. Like
It wouldn't even matter if we smoked a lot. Like just those times where
Yeah.
like it's just all people just trying to chill and smoke and have a good time.
I
And
remember,
I can-
yeah, so many good times with honestly just me and you around that table, and one of us would just hold the extra hookah hose, and we would just sit there and fucking blaze and just play GameCube or watch anime or whatever. Just great fucking times. I was just actually chilling in the Main Street room. So
playing Warcraft or Crystal Chronicles or
Right.
Final Fantasy or something like that. Like those times for sure.
fucking painting dragons in the closet. Bro, get in the closet. I got something important to tell you. Ghetto Beetle just come up like saying shit like that. It's like, you, and you, come here into the closet. Like, I'm
Would
only
always,
smoking
like-
with these guys.
When I first started dealing, I would always like just do deals in the closet. Be like, all right, step in here.
Hey,
like, all
yeah,
the
step
stuff was
right
in
in
there.
this way. Remember, yeah, we had the whole thing laid out for the dealing setup. There was the scale and shit and bags and stuff. Good old times.
Ripping off those EWC motherfuckers.
Oh my god, those fucking EWCers. I wish.
It was a great time. Eyeballing everything. We didn't.
Oh
have
my
scale.
god, this kid
in those
across the
days.
street's telling me he's eyeballing shit the other day. I laughed. You're eyeballing it? Fuck.
Let me eyeball it first. That tray though, that tray made everything look so big. Like
Oh my
legitimately.
god, yeah, that tray was the best
It was like
Decepticon.
convex bottom, so
Yeah.
it just like would plump it up. Oh man,
That's a blunt.
that's a blunt all day.
Never having a scale as a kid. Nowadays, scales are like $7. Send them to your house.
I know, yeah. We probably could have had one then too,
We
but that was
could've.
$7 not
Yeah.
spent on weed.
Yeah, bro, I don't got no $7.
Like we gotta eat before we buy a scale.
Right? I wish child labor would have been allowed back then. I would have had some money. All right. So do you have? I don't honestly think I have anybody. I don't think, but most famous person you've ever smoked with. Anything?
Most famous. I mean, probably Jimmy.
Oh shit!
I think, right? Like, no, wait. Hold on. I've definitely smoked with like some band members. I mean,
Some band member somewhere.
like some like backstage things. Like I'm trying to think. I mean, we went like backstage, like at Godrot. We went. I mean, even Wally's like fairly local.
Yeah,
famous.
if you want to say it like that, I think you were there when we smoked with the guys from Suffocation, Jungle Rot, and Deicide.
You smoked with fuck, I can't even remember.
Remind me, please.
Did you smoke with the guy from, was it Cannabis Corpse or?
Cannibal Corpse? None of them wanted to smoke. None of them wanted to smoke. I chilled with them for mad long, but none of them wanted to smoke. Like, I don't smoke weed, bro. I got a family. This is like, 2006. It's like, all right.
You got a family? Like maybe you should stop making music about murdering the hell out of people.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, don't smoke by all means.
For real, please don't smoke cannabis. No, remember we talked about Warcraft. I think I didn't like, it wasn't like I was directly smoking with them, but there was things being passed, and they were there. But I would say Wavy Gravy, if I could claim anybody. Wavy Gravy is the guy who fed the starving people at the Grateful, fucking at the whatever, fucking Woodstock.
Yeah. Wavy.
But
Yeah, I don't think I smoked with too many famous people. I feel like I'm forgetting one, but like those are still probably the good examples.
Peanut had brought over the guy from fucking 311 one day. No one cared. That's like a story I would believe, honestly. Like, oh yeah, that's why I forgot. What?
Oh yeah, I don't care about that.
I forgot to give a fuck about that. What is your favorite food or drink while stoned?
Oh man.
Like, do you?
Probably
it's
like-
if you don't.
Probably like buffalo chicken wings.
Ooh.
Man, honestly.
I know.
It's like you can eat a lot, and because it's so fatty, I feel like it doesn't really affect your high that much, and it's just super enjoyable. Like it's just hot sauce and butter. It's can't really beat that.
Would you dip it in blue cheese or just straight?
Mostly straight, like the stray blue cheese bite every now and again, but yeah, mostly straight.
I can't help it, man. I just love the blue cheese. Buffalo
like
wings and blue
carbs.
cheese. Oh,
It's really sugar. Sugar is like what kills your high, and carbs are just like the pre-sugar. You know what I mean?
Alright, yeah.
And anything with carbs, I feel like ruins your high. So just
So, like-
straight spicy meat, and the obviously the spice like increases your high because I kept saying it.
I was gonna
so it's
say, yeah. So the days we kind of like would
Makes
chill
you
out and
breathe
grill,
better.
we would grill or fry some just basic bullshit. But that would be like your best alternative. Some of those days back at my grandma's, would be like getting ready to buy acid that night and be like, all we can eat is this fucking. We got this burger meat, or whatever we're gonna fry up, but not like something like that. Like I guess if it was just like meats on a grill, that would be like your perfect kind of day, getting stoned with just grilling different bullshit.
Well, Itachi, like you don't even know. We're like opposite, really. Like fucking the time we walked out to Taylor's house in Holly to smoke, and all he had was like like a couple fat dimes or something like that.
Yeah.
He's like he's like I'm bored. Like you guys got to get out here whatever way you can. Like well we're probably gonna have to walk or like steal some bikes or something. But we
Right,
don't
I'm bored and I
walk.
got this weed. Yeah, we can steal some bikes.
like, well, fuck it, and we're just like, it's cold as fuck outside, and we're just like, we're marching at like a double time pace, just like as fast as we possibly can without
For
running.
real.
Just trying to get there within
Edgy
a few
goth
hours
kids.
or whatever. Yeah.
But anyways, so all right, I'm just going to assume chicken wings, buffalo chicken wings, no drink. If it's not a fruity drink, or do you prefer, like, if it was the perfect day, would you be imbibing alongside? Like, is that just how you like it, or would you rather have a tasty drink? Or
No, I mostly drink socially. It's really just like a way to like get out of my anxiety, like specifically the social anxiety, and it helps me be more social. And I don't think anything really compares nowadays, like as far as that. Kratom obviously helps a lot too, but as far as like a best drink, like realistically, and like probably even my favorite like chaser, cold pressed juices are just
oh
so
my
fucking
god,
elite, man. Like nothing is better than that.
I'm
Like
so
it's like
glad you brought me cold
pure
pressed juices that
essence.
one day. Yeah. Oh my
They're
god,
so good.
so good. I'm actually considering, um, opening a cold press bar because I looked into cold pressing, and there's a lot of cold press bars out there that I thought they would have like so when you press rosin, you have two heat plates, right? So I thought they would have like two refrigeration plates or something because you would assume like applying energy to like fruit would kind of heat it up just a little. I'm not saying it's going to be anything crazy, but I was thinking about making refrigerated plates. A lot of people don't even use it; they're just using cold fruit. But I'm thinking about cold fruit with refrigerated plates and do fucking a cold fucking fruit press, just juice bar. Like that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like all we do is
I
fucking cold
couldn't
press
see it
juice.
failing. It's like obviously it's a higher cost investment, so it's like everything has to be more expensive, and then you end up catering to a certain type of people, obviously in those
Colder.
instances.
No, for real. That's what I'm saying though. That cold press juice. Fuck, if you haven't
I
tried
said
it,
colder.
if you have not tried cold press juice,
No, honestly, and like the easiest place to get it is probably 7-Eleven. I don't know if they have them everywhere, but the ones at 7-Eleven were fucking delicious, and they weren't too
the
expensive.
thing.
But there's like it's like three main kinds. There's like the fruity orange. There's like the tomato-based one, which is like just still weirdly delicious and fruity. It's like tomatoes and berries and shit, and then like the green one, which is like spinach and other stuff, and they're
See,
like just doesn't taste anything like spinach at all. It's just still delicious.
not kombucha, Dex. I'm not for kombucha. Kombucha has like supposed health benefits, but kombucha's a weird fucking taste.
Oh man, it's like if you got like fruit juice at the store, but instead of it just being like sugar water, it's
It's
like
like
the
actual
pure
fucking
essence
yeah.
of the fruit.
And the
Like,
cool thing
just-
about fruit pressing, from what I saw, is it is not too different whatsoever than hash pressing. Like you just take a fine micron fucking silk screen, wrap your fruit and veg and shit up in it, and press it. Voila, cold
Yep.
press fucking fruit juice.
it's just like a finely sifted like juice with like a little bit of like the matter in there, like of the plant itself, but just like fibers that are tiny enough that they don't impact the experience anyway negatively. It's just a really smooth drink. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like drinking straight concentrate, but instead of being nasty sugar, it's fucking
It's the sugar that's
it's
actually
good
already
for you.
existing in
Yeah.
there. There's nothing. It's cold pressed juice. So we'll move on to there for why did you start smoking in the first place, Crow? What drove you to smoke in the first place? Was it just boyish
depression for
curiosity?
sure.
Depression?
No, yeah, like I've been like clinically depressed since I was, as far as I can remember, like at least as early as like 10, and just a lot of factors contributed to that, like my environment, things like that. But I think like it's also just a chemical deficiency. But smoking like completely alleviated that and made me not want to die. I think that was the best I ever got out of weed when I was younger, is just not wanting to kill myself or not wanting to stop existing or just being able to enjoy living in the moment.
And that's like, I feel like there's obviously a lot of people who can relate to that. Because, like, and especially right now, like, I feel like, especially being alive right now is extremely overwhelming. Like, not only in a technological or media sense where we're constantly feeding our brains new information now, or, like, it's not like we never did that, but, like, we're doing it with stories and shit in a way we never have. But, like, how society's built. Like, if you ever sit there and try to ever, like, start, like, thinking about life and how you're gonna make it, everything's pretty fucking overwhelming. And, like, that can be extremely scary, especially to a fucking kid, you know? Luckily, I was stupid as fuck.
It's the better way.
Yeah, I was just too stupid as a kid to realize, like, my grandma had brainwashed me and shit. I was like, Jesus got this. I'm fine. Jesus got my back, bro.
I was constantly questioning the results of everything, like the impact, the implications, like the anything possible that could ever happen, like whether I did something or whether I didn't do something, and it was fucking crippling, man. It was just like so hard.
Now, obviously, like, these are going to be obvious questions, but I guess I just want to hear your, like how you would say it. Like, going through that kind of stuff and then continue using cannabis, because I already know you face a lot of trials and tribulations in life that have to do with drug use and drug dependencies and shit like that. But like with what you had to deal with as a kid and then continuing to use cannabis like until this day, like how would you describe that it helped or hindered your process, like through literally like the transition of who you are to like right now from that kid that was depressed? Well, I'm not saying you still
So
aren't.
I
I'm not saying that in a bad way either.
I think that like you definitely learn as you get older how to deal with it without the use of anything, but like getting to that point, like I think really like the mania and like the depression that I had, like probably would have driven me to do something drastic. I probably would have had a much worse experience if I survived it all. So like honestly, getting to older age and being able to be a mature person who can handle it, getting past those hormonal stages when you're younger that are so difficult when you have problems like that. Um, and obviously, like it hinders you too because like things like anxiety and fear and stress like are all indicators that actually are there to tell you like what to focus on. Like those are all things that tell you like this is what you're worried about. That's because you care. That's what you should focus on. You should do something about it. But like somewhere along that chain when like you have these problems like and especially with like other things like ADHD and stuff, like the chain gets broken and all you have is the side of it that's like you should do these things and then you don't have like the motivating part that's like all right, well, go do them or whatever. So um at the same time, like smoking and feeling relaxed or complacent, like can stop you from, reaching out and trying to achieve things. And then maybe later on in life, like you'll have regrets about it, but at least you'll be alive and have had a happy life up until that moment. Which, honestly, I think like it's just the indoctrination of society that you should even be trying to like strive to achieve everything you're capable of. Every single person on the planet should always be trying to strive to achieve to be the best they can be, and like I don't really vibe with the mentality in general, but like probably would have done more. Probably would have had more to be proud of, but at the same time, I I don't I don't internalize that because I'm happy to be a person who is just trying to enjoy my life as most people should be. I think I think that's a way better way of life and it's more sustainable too. Like I think everybody always trying to achieve and strive like leads to things like the world being run by merchants, like this capitalist society that we're in, like just a world of strivers and dog eat dog, mentality. People just trying to better each other and just trying to consume and produce as much as possible so that everybody else can consume and produce as much as possible. So I think you do less, but I think it might be better.
Well, I think even with doing less, that's like hot fuzz. Like you don't know how to switch off. And I think like imagine had you lived your life, in like let's say the opposite way or whatever. Like you didn't do drugs and you strive towards something. Let's say you had those things you might be more proud of or whatever. Like how much harder do you think it would have been to be that person to deal with what you've dealt with as a kid, like throughout your entire, like if you had made it, that is too, because it's the
Yeah,
thing.
man, like I don't know, I've just had like I've had the bad moments and I've had plenty of them when I was younger that just were like I just simply can't do it. And I cut myself a lot when I was younger and all this stuff. And that was more to like that's like a way of like breaking the cycle. Just like it's almost like smoking weed. It like gets you out of your thoughts and it does produce endorphins and things like that. But it's also like maybe I take the risk, maybe it happens. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
rolling dice constantly on that. But um yeah, it would have been possibly too hard. But also when it comes to like being proud of stuff, like I've known lots of and had like close relationships with lots of like really successful people, like business owners and such, and people who had demands on them, 60, 70 hours a week, and like they're not happy and they have no home life and their wife's unhappy and their kids are unhappy and everybody around them is unhappy because they're not positive people. Like they're
Yeah,
focused on one thing,
yeah.
they're very proud of that one thing, but they don't have a balanced life.
And that's I want to touch on what Itchy says because that's like I've seen this a lot lately. Is people are like, I feel like it's a rough time to be alive, and then someone will chime in and be like, haha, try being a fucking slave in London getting raped, you idiot. And but mine's a bit more drastic, but it's like Itchy says, being like born like a deadliest roads person, and he means like a person in a current third world country who's like, their job is to fucking burn tires and shit to look for the metals and stuff or whatever, right? And that's what you do all day, every day, and you're just impoverished or whatever. But I know what you mean on that, Itchy, but it's also perspective too, because some of these people in third world countries, it's not about what's happening like around you, but like how you interpret what's happening around you, right? Because in those same countries, there's like monks and shit like that, and we just don't have like what we would think of as like a monk culture in like America or whatever would be like hippies or some dumb shit that we wouldn't think of, right? Or like maybe like priests or something. And then you would be like, well, why are Catholic priests still getting like tax cuts? But you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no culture really in America, like not even Native Americans, where we're like, oh yeah, these are the free people who they do whatever they want, they don't live by these rules. But there's like in these third world countries, all I'm saying is there is like these weird monk parts of their societies where people are happy with fucking nothing.
So also my girlfriend would refer to that
Reboot.
as which is something she kind of taught me, is a straw man argument, which is where you take something and you escalate it to like the ridiculous level and you try to compare it to the thing that you're doing, and it's like it's it's literally just a way of like proving a point that like no matter what you do, like anything's okay as long as you compare it to something else, which is what a thing that humans do all the time. And that's the thing you do when you're really depressed too, is you're like, oh well, someone's got it worse. Or
That's
like
what
when
I
you're in
was
like
actually
an
gonna
abusive
say.
household or whatever, like you're just like, oh, someone out there's got it worse. And you think that all the way until you just realize that like you can accept the fact that you had it bad. You had it bad for you, and like you're working off of that basis. You're not comparing yourself to
But
anybody
that's
else.
that's where I feel like empathy kicks in though, because you shouldn't like take anyone's situation and feel like they hurt any less or whatever. It's not. You already know it's not a competition of like I work more, I hurt more than you. Like we should respect the human experience and try to hope the best for everybody in a sense. But that's what I was gonna say too. Is when I was at like lower states or whatever, feeling down, I would always be like, you know what? Well, at least I'm not like Itchy's saying. I'm not in this third world country, like in Jamaica, living off of coconuts and shit as a Rasta or whatever. But like, why is that so bad or whatever? But what I meant to say by that, let's say it was a terrible thing. Let's say I was a single father with 6 kids and we broke rocks to sell small rocks to a construction company. We did that every day, and we lived off of fucking $2 American a month or whatever, and we were truly impoverished like people. The thing is like I just think it's completely unhealthy to sit there and try to excuse your situation by looking at something worse. Like you should still focus on like why am I feeling bad right now? Like and how can I actually not I guess how can I fix this? Cuz I mean how can I
Yeah.
fix it also in like a realistic way? Like are you fucking up? Like are you being overly selfish in a situation? Do you feel entitled? Are you still dealing with ego and shit? Because again, it's just I like we're all having a human experience, and I'd rather have an enjoyable one. I'd rather everyone did, but like with that being said, like yeah, I could sit here and be like, wow, thank God I live in the fucking 2020s, and I have running water, and no one has cholera, and I can fucking wash my toilet with chemicals and shit, and if there's an emergency, I can probably go to the hospital and maybe live. But like, I don't think that's healthy to look at shit like that and then kind of sweep your problems under the rug.
Yeah, you could always say there's starving people in Africa. There's people who are getting beaten, in their relationship with their family or their spouse. You can always compare yourself to somebody who has it worse. Like, there's always going to be somebody who has it worse,
I
no
just
matter
don't feel
what.
like that's a healthy response to things whatsoever, and it's weird how
Exactly.
quick we do it. Anyways, Anyways, um, so on to my very last question. If you could smoke or chill with anyone, who the fuck would it be?
Come on, bro.
Not besides myself. It's as flattering as that is.
Definitely you. I don't think I have a lot of preference otherwise. Like, and to be entirely honest, like my girlfriend gets weird when she smokes, and she's trying to quit because she doesn't have a good reaction to it. I mean, she has a fine reaction to it. She just like sort of becomes a different person, which I suppose happens when you're not smoking a lot at all, and it happens to me too. So I understand. We both have low tolerances at this point.
Yeah.
So it's probably not her. But, I don't know, like it does come down to comfort, but also the experience I can have. Like it would probably be you or like my brother or something like that. Like somebody I could feel comfortable with.
What if it was anyone like dead or alive, all right?
Oh, I see. Anybody?
Like anybody, fucking anybody. Like who would you feel like you'd have the best, like not the best time, but who would you like to smoke with? Like to just have that experience.
I guess the first person who comes to mind would probably be Jim Morrison.
For fuck's sake, no, I'm just kidding.
I don't know, after reading his biography, and like he's just a poet, and like one with like just a chaotic energy, and who is kind of involved in like the human experience, and he's extremely well read with like older literature and stuff, and yeah, I feel like it would be a good time.
There's
like
a lot of people who argue that they hate
cool
fucking
debate.
Jim Morrison, and they say the pianist is the only good part about the Doors.
It has nothing to do with the Doors, and that's
Right.
the most I can say about it. Like nothing to do with his music at all. Like it's just reading like his story and biographies that people have written and learning who he is as a person. I feel like he would be a trip to smoke with.
Yeah, I would. You already know I would have picked like Shannon Hoon or something.
Yeah, that's not a bad one either.
But
Shannon
it's
Hoon's kind of basic too as a person. I
It
feel
is.
like his music is much more exceptional, but I feel like smoking with him might not be like the most fun experience or the most insightful or whatever.
yeah,
you're looking
maybe
for.
not.
But also like we could go like Gandhi. Or
I was gonna say
something
I
like
smoked with Gandhi.
Gandhi was apparently a racist though, so I don't know.
Oh
Maybe
word.
not.
Honestly, if I had to think about it, if I could sit down and have a smoke session with somebody, and this could be terrible in some way to some people, but I would totally, I don't even know if they smoked, but I would smoke with fucking a King Nobunaga. Fucking the Japanese fucking king who brought all the regions together and invaded South Korea.
I would sit here and smoke with Chinese Hitler, basically.
Essentially, yes. Well, Japanese Hitler, thank you.
Japanese Hitler, sorry. Yeah, I don't know. Like
It's just
world
such
leaders, sure.
it's
but,
just
I mean,
such an
just to get the
interesting
insight.
It's that interesting time. It was honestly like it was almost like the death of the Ronin, because he would brought everyone together and he's like, yo, we're really good at war, we have to go to war.
We're gonna. I mean, that's like the American concept.
Yeah.
Like, we spend all this money on, war and creating weapons and things like that. Like, how can we afford to not be at war because we're wasting so much money on it? The only way we can perpetuate that is to constantly be fighting battles, to constantly be acquiring assets.
Yep. That's why I'm surprised we're not at World War III yet, man.
Me too. I'm surprised we stayed out of it, but
Right? I thought with COVID and then fucking Ukraine popping off, I thought they were gonna be like, bro, let's go take Ukraine. It's ours, or Russia.
maybe Marley though too.
Marley would actually be so cool to actually smoke with, because he
That'd actually be
was
chill and insightful.
It would be so, and it would be spiritual, is what I would call that, honestly.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I honestly, I think Bob Marley, out of all of any of the artists of any media that I've ever liked, I really think Bob Marley was an actual hero. Like with how far his message went, but also like you can watch some documentaries or read whatever the fuck you want, but like Bob Marley was essentially like stopping a war between Jamaica, like shit that still ripples to this day. But he was bringing other fucking countries in the Congo and shit together, and it's crazy. Like like when you talk about like Michael Jackson, because like when you want to talk about like real superstardom or whatever, like there's no one you could touch on like a Michael Jackson level. Like try to compare anyone to Michael Jackson and how worldly like famous he is and whatever. And like the crazy thing is like you can almost do that with Bob Marley too. Like there's few people whose music went that fucking far. But anyways, those were all my questions, and this was the fucking test for the fucking podcast of the Stoner Circle.
I'm glad you had me. It was a good time.
This is my first guest, Crow. My next guest will be my mother.
I want to see that.
I'm only gonna interview people who fucking smoke.
I know.
I wanted to do an interview with my fucking mom the one day, but fucking I had no way for her to sit closer because Duran's a fucking asshole and shit. So I was like, fuck this. Cause
Next we gotta interview gotta go find Ghetto Brian.
yeah, I don't know if I want to find him, but we'll interview. I'll get itchy next. We could interview. I was thinking about doing this with. I wanted to do just a weird interview and sit down because I don't know if I could do just about weed because it wouldn't be. But I've talked to Drew again lately, and I want to do an interview with Drew because you already know. Drew's still wild to this day. Like he doesn't even smoke a lot of weed. He just fucking does a shitload of mushrooms all the time. Just always he was like, yeah man, I'll eat like 2/8 and go lay down on my bed, or like he's like, I like to go in the woods and cut down trees. And he lives in Florida.
Doing anything physical right at the start is totally the way with mushrooms,
Yeah.
just to get past that awkward stage and get your blood flowing and metabolism up to process it.
He's just he's turned into a complete Florida redneck in that sense. He just trips the fuck out and goes survival man in the woods. He tells me he has a whole world Fallout thing set up, you know. He's like, I got you, bro. He's like, I'll give you the location. He's like, I don't trust many people. It was a good talk regardless though. Fucking Steve too. Fucking reach out to Steve. Dude, the last time I called Steve and shit and I was like trying to talk, Steve's like, oh, I gotta go, bro. I gotta go. I'm like, what the fuck? I thought we were gonna sit here and chill for a minute, talk shit. What do you gotta do, Steve? Take some pills? Fuck.
Interview Jesse.
Yeah.
Do Jesse and Steve at the same time. That would be funny. The brothers.
The brothers podcast.
The brothers psychotic.
Jesse used to be a bit funnier. I wouldn't mind Jesse like in his element.
That's why I think like Ghetto Brian would be funny because like even